What's up? Sorry, I was getting my stuff set. There's my avatar. My mic wasn't working for him, so he's not going to be talking. But his eyes will move. Alright, so today I'm working on a lab for Toy Story Reanimated. There's a Reanimated project that's happening currently, and I've been slacking on it, so I'm going to finish that up. I'm going to get it roughed out, at the very least. Yeah, I don't really need, yeah, I don't need it to be. And I can mute it for now. I might get flagged if I don't. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Because it is Toy Story audio, and Disney is very litigious, so even though it was Pixar, stole things, bought it. Buy anything these days. Okay. Figure out the gotta act it out. Gotta act it out to know what I'm doing. Woody, it is Woody. Welcome in. What's up? How's it going? In a minute. Gotta draw Buzz back there. He's in the background. I have a shot that I'm breaking down, and I wanted to keep the same framing of the animation, the shot, but I'm gonna just make it a little more stylized and 2D and try and, if I have the time, flesh it out fully and do 2D animation. I don't think I'd do 60 frames a second. I'd probably do 24 and maybe on 1s and 2s for the most part. Drawing, it's been a hot minute since I've been here. Well, welcome in. Then maybe you didn't miss me last week. I was gone all week. How small his hands are. It's very funny. It's just like tiny. Okay. I gotta figure out. Oh, I gotta have him. I think he runs up. He does run up. He runs. He runs up like he's doing a Fortnite emote. He's kind of like shuffles. Just kind of waggle his arms around. That's probably how Tom Hanks runs, actually. I would show you what I'm working on specifically, but I don't want to get flagged by Disney. It would probably kill me. He's hitting the gritty. What are you drawing? What are you working on? Doesn't he realize that I'm not there? I'm a lost toy. Yeah, that scene at the gas station. Disney will technically sue anything. That is true. They keep going nuts. What did I see? I think I saw something recently that they were like litigating against the kid's birthday party or some shit. It's like, can we listen? Can we please? Especially with their older stuff, like anything in the 90s and before that, they really shouldn't give that much of a shit about. Yo, welcome in. What is up? I've mostly been drawing simple cartoony faces. I have attempted to draw a little OC. Nice. It's fun. Welcome back to streaming. Thank you. God damn, he got muscles. I actually just started working out again. I was doing a bunch of push-ups and pull-ups. All pumped up. My tricep is fucking killing me. Welcome in. What is up? Deadlift when? I actually suck ass at deadlifting because I have very tight hamstrings. What I'm learning is that I'm shit at squats because I can't. My hammies are really tight. So I gotta start stretching so I can get better at that. I have the world's smallest ass. I just can't put on any weight back there, so I gotta work on that. So it doesn't hurt when I sit. My butt bones make craters in whatever I sit on, including wooden chairs. I gotta do the run cycle. I'm gonna map that out really loosely. Also, I'll explain myself. I was on vacation, but I didn't want to announce that on the Discord or any social media just because it felt weird to be like, my house will be vacant for however long. Come on, find me. You know what I mean? So it felt weird to say that up front. So I was just gonna like, I'm just gonna be gone for a little bit. You'll figure it out. So I'm back. It was a nice little vacation just with my family, hanging out by the pool. I tried to get tan, but you probably can't tell. I don't tan well. I'm very Irish. But I tried. I was at the pool for like 5 hours a day, and I put on enough sunscreen not to burn super bad, but let me do the... Yeah, there's no retention there. Do you drink Guinness much? I actually don't like Guinness, and a lot of Irish people would probably crucify me for that, but not huge on Guinness, but I did go to Ireland recently, and I did the split the G, and I didn't do very well, because I don't usually drink beer in general. So that's my preface, is like, I didn't like Guinness, but I don't like any other beer better, you know? So maybe I like Guinness the most, right? I just don't know what I would like, beer-wise. And maybe it's an acquired taste. Maybe it's you gotta be there longer. I gotta wait for my taste buds to change. I don't drink often, so it's more of I drink vodka. That's potato juice, right? Non-Irish people cannot split the G. It's impossible. I just don't drink in general, so I think I overestimated how many bubbles were in it, and I underestimated how much I needed to drink to get that level down. So I only drank, it felt like I drank a quarter of it, but I only drank like an eighth. So it was funny. I was like, I got it. I didn't get it. I don't even think I touched the G. Okay. Look at his run cycle. Very funny. Just a freeze frame of this at the wrong frame rate is very funny, because in Premiere it made me choose... I've been using just an open Premiere file for converting all my animations, the daily challenges. And so the frame rate in the project is 24 frames, but the video file is 30 frames, and so there's a bunch of automated smears that it adds in, and so there's some funny... He's like blurring past his face. It's like... Where are his hands? Are they even with his shoulders? I think they're in front a little bit. It's got like his elbows. His elbows are like out. Okay. I need to lean him. He's very desperate to get back to the car. I need to lean his torso. And then he like, it's not a waddle, but it's like a Toy Story, but I traced every frame of the movie. I'm not tracing, I'm observing. And I think I want to try and over-exaggerate some stuff. This is just me mapping out the basic layout. I could rotoscope. There's some people who are doing... there's some other people working on the project who are doing, like, puppet animation. I say puppet animation. 2D puppet animation, where it's in camera, you know, digital, like graphic design type stuff. That I've seen that looks good. But, yeah, I need to... Like, I don't have a style per se, locked and loaded. Like, I'm not a character designer, so I don't know how I would accentuate his design. So I think it's better to just do it in 2D with this generic-ish look. I guess his elbows aren't... His arms are out, but they're, like, loose. He's not, like... He's trying, but he's not. Like, he recognizes... These are the nuances you pick up on when you do studies. Is that his arms are outstretched, but not, like he recognizes that the car is gone. So he's not really trying. I was looking at that, I thought it was the shoulder. Easy thigh gap. What he's been cutting. Yeah, I feel like the camera's like here. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've just drawn Disappearing Guy from the Amazing Digital Circus. I fear I've cooked with this. It's probably the best bit in that entire show. If I have to be honest. Any of the Amazing Digital Circus fans out there, I have not seen the movie yet, the in theaters release, so do not spoil it for me. Please. I'm waiting. I was like, I can't go, unfortunately, to the movie because of me being out of town, but I can wait. I will be good. I will avoid spoilers. Okay, that's another good pose. Oh, here and there. Same cowboy hat ankle. Also, I apologize for the music. I wanted to get more, what's it called? Free something shit. I keep thinking freelance. Freelance is not correct. Light, no. Almost had it. God, that's gonna bother me. I don't know why my brain just shut down. License, no. Not fair use. Free. Shit. Royalty free. Thank Jesus. I had to look it up. I cheated. I found some. I'm just on YouTube's music royalty free playlists because I forgot that last time I streamed, I got shut down even though I was using the Lo-Fi Hip Hop Girl, who says very specifically that you're allowed to use her music in your YouTube videos as long as you cite her as a source in, like, you link to her channel. And so in theory, I should be fine, and that's fair use because I have permission from the creator. However, I think that YouTube's AI just flagged stuff because it is somebody else's content. I get it. But it's not smart enough to know if that person has given just like blanket statement permissions, right? So I got caught up in this dragnet of I stole, right? And rather than warning me, it just shut down my stream. So that sucked. That was annoying. Like that. So, like, there's a specific run that I'm thinking of that Woody does. I want to say in Toy Story 2. Is it when they're going to save Buzz and they're like trying to cross the street? I mean, he runs different instances throughout the movies, but there's one where he, like, very specifically, he's like lagging behind himself, like his torso is dragging by his legs. Very funny. And his arms are just flopping around. Very funny. They got wacky with it, and I appreciate that. Okay, 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 okay. So I'll do a frame where he's just standing there menacingly. like it's very. I guess he is. Yeah, he's up against where the pole is, ish, even about there. And then he's got a little bit where his feet are showing, just for a smidge. Then he's off screen. Okay. Then the camera's gonna have to move down to meet him. What? As much as I'm dancing to the song, it doesn't really have much rhythm. Also, are the levels okay? Is it loud enough for you? Or too loud, perhaps? Because what I'm hearing through my headphones is a different sound level than what's coming through on uh, Streamlabs. So if it's too loud, let me know and I'll adjust. Usually people will say if it's an issue. So I assume it sounds fine, but I can change it. It's like floating. can't see where his arm is doing because it's too small in the frame. Which I can use to my benefit. It's like hovering. This is giving me heavy, this song is giving me heavy Akira vibes when they're doing the flashback to when the kids were in the science lab being experimented on. And Tetsuo is, like, seeing all of Akira's memories. That's what I'm getting. Loud enough. I do miss the lo-fi beats. I understand. I wish I could use them, but I don't want to risk what happened last time. That would suck. I want to do that to you guys. I'm gonna try and get dual streaming set up so I can do Twitch. And then I'll hopefully have music that is copyright free that I can use for... I think that the Twitch music would also be fine on YouTube, but I could be wrong. There's probably a way for me to have two different songs playing depending on which stream you're watching. So if somebody doesn't like YouTube, they can switch over to Twitch and listen to slightly better royalty-free music. I don't know why I keep forgetting the word royalty. Because the queen is dead. Good riddance. It's not bent. There we go. It would also probably help if I go here. Okay, so there's a moment where he arrives at the spot, and it's a little... That's the one. He has his hands up in front of his chest. So I'll do that one. Honestly, I think what I'm going to do is... I think I'm just going to map this out pretty well using what I have as like a storyboard copy and paste. And then I can go in and add the minute motions, the unnoticeable nuance. Because at the very least, then I can... There is a deadline, and so I do have to meet that deadline. They're doing like a pre-deadline thing where it's like, just to make sure that people aren't procrastinating, which totally respect. Actually super useful for me because I would 100% procrastinate this if I did not have as much time. So it's a good idea for them to be like, hey, they know who artists are. They know that the guy who's running this knows that artists will procrastinate. He got my ass. So it's actually super useful to have that happening. So I need to get this in by that deadline so then I can continue working on it for the final deadline. So at the very least, I would like to have this all mapped out for the final deadline, because then I can just go back and take my time to draw over top of what I have as the landmarks. And maybe add in-betweens if I have time. have the Dynaco logo done. That's spinning. That's finished part of animation. I got to do the background. I should do like a really elaborate oil painting for the background. I think that's what I'll do. Like, just get really romantic with those gas pumps, right? Do some impressionism. Maybe I'll do it physical. I'll go out and I'll buy oil paints and I'll teach myself how to oil paint. Just for the sake of this bit. Now that I say that, I do remember there's a very famous artist who would just paint gas stations around the nation in like the, I want to say 40s and 50s, and he made like very graphic design type layouts of the gas stations. I'm actually gonna look that up. I don't think it was Frank Lloyd Webber. I think Frank Lloyd Webber was a whatever. What was he? Architect? I think he was an architect. Deadline's an artist's nightmare for sure. You might have said this already, but what was going on last week that you couldn't stream if you don't mind sharing? Oh, I was on vacation. Nothing serious. Yeah, I was just on vacation and I didn't want to like announce that ahead of time because I didn't want people to know that I was not going to be in my house. Not that I have my address everywhere, but with the way that the internet works, I'm sure somebody could figure out where it was if they really wanted to, and I hope nobody does. You will be invited to my house when I deem that necessary. If you show up to my house without me giving you an invite, there will be consequences. Cool. Yeah. I was just having fun, hanging out with my family. It was very nice. We just hung out by the beach. I tried to get tan. You probably can't tell. It did not work. This might be the darkest I've ever been. That's not true. I was a camp counselor back in the day, and so I would be outside for like 8 hours a day. And I'm waiting for my invite. We'll see. You're here. You're in the stream every day. I need you to be at home viewing me. You can't be in my home viewing me, because then it won't show up on the stats, and then I won't get propagated. Yeah, it was fun. I just hung out by the pool. That's about it. Hung out by the pool. Played some board games with my family. We did a little thing where we like shared our. I organized it. We all shared our favorite songs, and we all tried to guess whose favorite song was which. It was cute. I also had to, in me not saying what I was doing, I was still participating in the daily speed battle challenge, and so I was working exclusively on my iPad, and it was so difficult. Most of my projects for the last, I want to say 9 days, however long I was gone, all of those projects were very specifically like rushed because most of my time was wasted in trying to figure out the interface for Procreate Dreams, and it was not fun. It's a fine system for like if you want to be painterly with your animation. It's okay with clip art stuff, but it's really not optimized for like organizing the timeline, which that's like it nullifies an entire principle of animation when you are struggling to work on your timing specifically. And so it was very annoying to me to have to struggle with just functionality of the app. It was such a relief to be able to be back home working on my PC with animation. I didn't realize how much I missed it, actually. So I'm trying to put forth all of my effort, but I truly was like, this can't keep happening. If I was forced to use Procreate Dreams for the rest of my life, I would probably stop animating. So I'm very fortunate that I'm able to afford this software. Clip Studio Paint is pretty good too. I could put up with Clip Studio Paint, but that would also take some learning. But at the very least, the functionality is there. So, if anybody prefers Procreate Dreams, more power to you, but it could not be me. Just gonna redraw it. Sometimes it's faster to copy and paste, but other times I'm just like, you know what? Redraw it, man. Draw these other frames, why not? The arm or the hands do overlap here. You know what? I think I do want to raise them back up. This is sci-fi adventure music. It sounds like something I would listen to just in an indie game. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't call it. The playlist that I'm in is ambient chill, I think. And I wouldn't necessarily call this ambient. It's a little more active. Like it was so freeing to get back to my PC and do my Evangelion animation. Oh my god. Just being on a familiar platform with the capacity to also have a second screen to do reference with. So good. I'll watch you on my phone at your house. Okay. I might ask that you sit on Snorlax, or it would be weird if you were just like standing, hovering. So I'd ask you to probably sit on Snorlax, maybe downstairs. I saw a bunch of stuff on Instagram. You got to get famous so we can get famous. So we can get famous. That would be great. I would love to be able to do like meet and greets. That would be fun. I actually have thought about doing cons. Um, I just don't know how to go about signing up. I feel like it's already con season, and so like the sign up process is probably over and done with, and had to be done probably the year prior. So I'm gonna have to look into doing that. But it would be really fun to be able to meet and greet people. Although I feel like I have a decent amount of overseas fans. And I would probably keep... For my first con, I would probably stay local, but I'd be willing to travel to, like, California or New York would be really cool. I don't know where else they do cons, but... I think there is actually a local convention center near where I live that I could probably sign up for, but again, I think I'm past that that threshold, that window of time that I was probably supposed to sign up. But I also don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's still time because I haven't seen anything advertised about it. But I'm also not on Facebook, and I feel like that's where a lot of those things are advertised. Maybe I should be more active on Facebook. Much as I hate to say that. I'm gonna like it's like forward in the next frame. Yeah, he like leans forward a little bit. love his little run. I really want to nail the run cycle because he is very uniquely animated. I want to emphasize the ragdollness of him. There's such a subtle I'm very slowly scrubbing through this. There's such a subtle movement of his pupils while he's contemplating why this has happened. It's really good. God damn it, Disney used to be good. Jesus. And I realize it was Pixar. But like they thought about it. They cared about it, and they didn't just pump out bullshit remakes. I need to watch the original Disney movies. I gotta see some of those. But they've truly moved away from animating for the sake of art, and they've moved towards animating for the sake of money, and it's really annoying. Because, like, you can always tell when they've marketed an idea for the sake of franchisement, for the sake of merchandise, for the sake of we already have the mascot outfit made up so that they can walk around Disney World, so we have to make this movie happen, and we have to cram in as much cutesy nonsense as possible so the maximum amount of people will like this character. And it's just so nonsense, because it takes away from these subtle moments of Woody going, why did he leave me? And, like, looking around, like, just little stuff. They wouldn't do that with a character now. They wouldn't make you think what they think. They wouldn't make you feel something for an asshole character. Woody, at this point, is still an asshole. He has not found his empathy. He has not started to think about the fact that, hey, maybe Andy doesn't like me anymore, but that's okay, because I still have friends. I'm still hanging out with all these other toys. Even if Andy doesn't like me, he's not getting rid of me. I'm still around. He just doesn't play with me the most. It's fine. And it's cool to feel supportive of your friend who is maybe getting more attention than you or being more successful, quote unquote. It's a good lesson, and they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't make the protagonist of a movie have any flaws whatsoever, because that's not marketable. Even though like, I had a Woody doll when I was little. I had a Woody. I had a Buzz. I liked Buzz better than Woody, ironically. Very funny. But yeah, I think it sucks that they don't do that anymore. They don't care. Sorry, I went on a rant. I would totally sit on Snorlax. He is comfiest. He is comfy, and the thing is, when I bought him, you can't... On Amazon, it was advertised as, like, a big cuddly bear, but it had pictures of Snorlax, so they were, like... They were very specifically avoiding getting sued by Nintendo, and so they had to advertise it as, like, a generic bear, whatever. But they had enough pictures that I was like, I think that'll work. And then they had, like, listed lengths and stuff, and there was a smaller one that I could have gotten, but this one is massive and I love him. But they only sold him as the skin. It's only the flesh of the Snorlax that they can sell. I don't know why. I think originally they sold it with, like, some kind of foam inside that would expand, like, you know, they'd shrink wrap it. It was probably secondhand. It was probably like some guy was drop shipping stuff from Temu. Probably. So I had to also buy separately memory foam shrapnel. It's just a bunch of churned up memory foam inside of him, so he is very, very soft. I picked very specifically memory foam because I knew that if I did beads or, like, fluff, like cotton or something, it wouldn't be nearly as comfy. And so I do love, and then I kind of just, like, sink into him. It's great. And the memory foam was, in fact, more expensive than the Snorlax outside. It was very funny. I bought, like, is he 100 pounds? Maybe it's only 80. It might be 80 pounds worth of memory foam. There was a lag between my device and the stream. I'm a little behind for a hot second. You're good. I will try and catch up with you and maybe be less sporadic with my rants. Meet and greets would be cool. I'm actually not that too far from Ohio, so it would be a cool road trip. Oh, that's fun. I would be touched if you were able to come out just for the sake of meeting me. That would be great. I don't know. The problem being that, like, I don't know what I would want to. I would feel like I needed to give you guys something to walk away with so that the meet and greet was worth it rather than just, like, saying hi. Because I do just essentially talk to you directly now. It would just be a matter of seeing you face to face. So I would probably do like a signing, or like I could draw my OC on something that you want me to draw. I can just have paper. I think that would be fun. Okay, I'm gonna try and stop talking. I'm gonna stop rambling, and I'll just keep up with what you're saying. So then you can catch up, and then we'll find that a lag. I'm also taking part. Sorry, never mind. I was gonna start talking about something else. I'm gonna let you catch up. I just watched a thing about a really specific scene in The Rescuers. That spelling looks off. I think it's just Rescuers. I think maybe no ES. But I don't care. You do you. Spell it however you want. I haven't seen Rescuers in a while. Rewatch that. Shit. Duplicating stuff. Yeah. I had to fill them. I don't know why they would sell it separately. I don't know what would prevent them from being sued one way or another. But for whatever reason, they didn't stuff them for me, so I had to stuff them myself. Doesn't he? Okay, let me check and see if I've got. I enjoy your rants. It makes you feel more relatable to me. Only if you identify with the rant. I feel bad if it's anybody who I immediately just shit on something that they love. You know what I mean? Very funny. Ooh, Prince. That's a good idea. I could do Prince. Buttons. I've got buttons galore. I could do. Oh yeah, I could totally do buttons. That would be great. I'm trying to think. Um, I don't know what Prince. I really don't make too much illustrative work, so I feel like prints aren't super amazing. I guess I could do like. I got Mirko. I've got the JJK Yu-Gi-Oh mashup, which is my friend's commission technically. I probably shouldn't just hand those out, considering I didn't even print him one. I guess he can show up to the con and then he'll get one. I got Mirko. I got Sonic. I can finish my Sonic series. I could do some of my landscapes. I don't know if you would be interested in that. I don't know. I also need to figure out what I would sell. I guess just buttons and stickers for now. See, I really don't have too much content for printing. I'm very specifically like line art oriented. I'm very like posing and action sequence oriented, and so like a lot of the art that I show when I apply to jobs for animation is like I'll just do screenshots of action frames that I think are really sick, that I spend a lot of time on. And I've also started like for every animation that I make, I'll do at least one frame that's fully fleshed out in the ideal design if I were to spend the time necessary to finish it. I think that's been very helpful. I've realized in watching other people's stuff that it's more, your brain will fill in the gaps, and so if you can do the full design every couple of frames just to remind people of what the character is doing, you can get away with a lot from doing just like a very basic stand-in. So I'm trying to get better at that. Also, I have so many spider bites on me. I have one on my shoulder and one on my thigh, so I just, if you see me idly itching myself, it's one of several spider bites that's bothering me. But yeah, I gotta figure out what I can sell. Because in an ideal world, I would be able to sell like animation frames. I think that would be sick. Is if I just had like animations that people like, and then I can just break it down into frames. And if anybody's like, "Hey, I paused on this frame. I really like this. Can you send that to me?" Absolutely, that would be great. But I need to make something that people want to see. You know, because I always think that it's super sick to have. I I need to start collecting cells from original animations. I know that it's going to be impossible to get one from Akira because there's an Akira installation where they've bought almost every single original cell that exists. So I probably won't be able to get an Akira cell unless it's like a very nondescript background. And even then I would be like, it's not authentic. Just for the sake of that, if it's not authentic. Because otherwise I can just trace something and make it look like it would, you know what I mean? But like to have one that they actually made would be phenomenal. Um, so I got to get down on the ground floor when it comes to like JJK or Chainsaw Man. Like I gotta be on top of it when they start releasing those. But I would love to collect at very least one frame from every single anime that I enjoy, and just hang them up on the wall. So cool. Because in reality, I have the capacity to sit there and just make it look exactly like they did it, but like to have a piece of the history that made that happen would be beyond sick. So that's just me. You got like a year to make prints. I gotta do. Yeah, I gotta finish my series of Sonic characters. I gotta do Tails. I did Blaze. I gotta do. I should clean up Blaze. There were Blaze was a little bit of a miss. I feel like people didn't like Blaze as much. But I gotta do Shadow. I gotta do Tails. I gotta do Knuckles. I gotta do. I want to do Scourge. I've seen a lot of. Been on Instagram. I've seen a lot of people doing Scourge recently. I love it. Scourge is my favorite character. I have a screenshot. Hold on, let me find it. I have a screenshot on my phone of Scourge, and he's like in a prison jumpsuit, and I think he's like a prison gang leader. And it's so funny to consider that Sonic's brother is a fucking mob boss. Where is it? Where is it? Oh my god, it's probably the... You know how there's the meme going around of the, hold on, you look tough as hell right now, let me take a pic with Batman? Hold on, let me pull up my camera so I can see if I'm aiming it. Hold on, I gotta get the glare out. And I'm getting the glare. And I'm getting the glare. And perfect. God, he's so sick. Oh, God, focus, please. Focus. Focus. Oh my god. There it is. That's the one. Damn it, it fixed itself. Anyway. He looks tough as hell, dude. I love Scourge. You remember those little things where you move it one way or the other and sort of plays out a scene? Move it one way or the other and it plays out a scene. Like it plays an alternate scene if you move it a different way? Because when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was the viewfinders, where you look through and you press the little trigger and it flips through the little wheel of images, and it's just like binoculars on a frame. Little things. It doesn't help with the lag that I don't know what exactly you're talking about in context to what I've said. Do you remember those little things? The other plays out a scene. Plays out a scene. Is it a physical thing that you interact with that then... I don't know. I'm gonna need some more context. It'll catch up. That is pretty sick. Is that you talking about Scourge? Have you caught up to the live? Just remember, I don't know why, because I don't even like green. Like, Sonic, objectively, cooler character design, and Scourge is just green Sonic. But he's got pointy teeth, he's got goggles, and he's got a leather jacket with flames on it, normally, when he's not in prison in his jumpsuit. And so for whatever reason, I just got super obsessed with Scourge when I was, like, 10. And every time I went to the library or was in like computer class or, you know, on my family desktop computer, I just changed the background to Scourge. I don't know. I love Scourge the Hedgehog. He's cool as hell. The cards that if you move... Oh, yes, the thingies that they're like holographic. Yes, what are those called? Shit. I just recently saw something about that. Technically, it's like a triptych, and it's just like they're layered. It's very tiny triptychs. That like reflect in a way, that bounce. I think that's what you're talking about. Because like holographic now is like just like has a foil on it, right? But I believe that's what those were, and I love those. But in the context of that, I don't know how I don't know how to print that. You know what I mean? If that's what you're referring to. Let me look that up. I'm curious. Images. Like a holographic meatloaf. Holographic. I very vividly remember having a bookmark that was like holographic. I need to find the term. Graphic bookmark. Thing that change when you move your perspective. What is the shifting double image printing called, and where can I do that? I have a little plastic milk bee card that winks when you shift it. It has a scratchy plastic surface. Oh my god, I used to love just rubbing my thumbnail across that. What is that printing called? Lenticular! I love when I find the thing I was looking for. Lenticular. Holographic. Okay, so that is the correct quote-unquote term. You can get them at Walgreens? That was 2 years ago, though. Just keep in mind that they make them side-to-side transitions, not up and down. If you want up and down, just rotate the image. Whoa. This is a great ad for Walmart? Walgreens. Great ad for Walgreens. That's awesome. You can do lenticular printing. That's sick. I think I saw somebody who did a lenticular print that was like, I want to say it was like 5 images, depending on where you were. Like, it was in a gallery, so obviously they probably did it themselves and had to do the science to figure out how to make that happen. But it was somebody who did a lenticular print, and it was like 5 different images all in one. Very cool. Yes, I don't want to call it holographic because it's changed, but if you could figure out how to do that, you could give us a piece of your animation. That's such a good idea. That's so fucking big brain. It's like a Flip-O-Rama from Captain Underpants, and there's nothing like that anymore. That's super hype. That's great. I'm gonna fly you out. I'm gonna pay for your airfare for that one. That's crazy. Don't hold me to that. I don't know if I have any money for that. I'm writing that down right now. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Shit, I have a... Oh, here we go. I can't believe I've never thought of that. I can't believe I've never considered. Because, like, even with Flip-O-Rama from Captain Underpants, like, that's also valid. Like, I could do a little flip book that I could sell of some, like, I could just have, like, if you like this animation, flip book. If you like this animation, flip book. I could print those myself, too. Staple them together. Lenticular printed animations. Somehow. And I don't know what I would make them, like trading cards. That would be fun. If I could get 3 images. I think I've seen, like, commercially sold 3-panel lenticular prints that I could probably figure out how to do. Lenticular printed animation. Animation prints. Particular prints of my animation. That would be sick. Such a good idea, dude. I can't believe it. That's crazy. Yeah, I'll have to find pieces of mine that that could work with 3 images, right? I have to be able to maybe there's like a science to it too. I gotta do some research. That's big brain. I don't know if my brain's that big. Sorry, I'm zoning out. Oh my god, I've died laughing. Can't believe I never thought of that. That's crazy. Because I used to love those things. Like, there's no reason for me not to have had those in the forefront of my mind. Yes, they've gone away. You are correct, and that is. I have no more overconsumption of lenticular. There was just a phase where everything was lenticular. I had a bookmark. There were book covers. There were like folders and shit. Like all kinds of school supplies. I remember that very vividly. Where you just rub your. There were lenticular backpacks. I remember that. Um, and that's just gone. They went away with like the little water snake thing that you could. I'm not gonna I'm gonna stop doing those hand gestures, but you know what I'm talking about, where there was like little fish floating around in it, and you could just kind of. I'm not gonna elaborate. And what was the other thing? The soap dispensers that had like the fish in the back of it, like there was like a print and there was fish in the soap. Anyway, I won't let you fly me out, but I'll accept hugs and being on a mailing list. I will. I don't know if I have a mailing list. I don't think there's enough demand yet, but if I ever have enough support, that would be great. And I will do a hug in person if that happens, but I will have to figure out how to get that set up. That would be great. Yeah, photo ops for sure. That would be. Not that anybody knows who I am yet, so you'll have to get in on the ground floor. That'd be so. Imagine that. Imagine you have a photo with somebody who's like only briefly known, and then like years later, it's like you like if you had a picture of Markiplier from like 2006. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, what's up? And then now, my cousin actually met Markiplier several times because they worked at Target, and he apparently shopped at that Target. And then they saw him at the mall, and I think he remembered them. Like he very specifically remembered having seen them that one time. And then I think they worked at Montgomery Inn, and I think he went there with his mom, and he remembered again. And it crazy, like that they've met him 3 times, and I've never met any celebrity ever. I don't think I've even briefly seen a celebrity ever. But I'm also in Ohio, and not that many people come here. Doesn't he realize lenticular? That's crazy. I don't think I'm gonna forget the word lenticular ever again. I probably will, but cut me some slack. Okay, so between their mouth covered, this. Still has circle eyes when they're closed, but they're very heavy. Eyebrows do a lot of heavy lifting here for Woody. Yes. God, I love when this thing is able to accurately guess where I want to cut that at. Music stopped, and I recognize that. I need to fix it, but I want to get this first. single idea to be the biggest thing, and then I get to say I was there. Absolutely. All caught up now. Great art. Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely, you get credit. If that ever comes to fruition, you get credit for sure. Um, I have so much stuff that I need to do. I have a list of things that I know I need to do. I got my business cards. That was a good step. That was a good step. I got my website set up. That's a good step. I need to send out cold calls to companies. I need to finish these first of all. I've dedicated myself to these collabs, so I need to finish them. That was the other thing I was going to say that I stopped myself from saying earlier. I am also partaking in there's a Robot Boy collab that I'm participating in. I'm just trying to get out there, get my name out there, doing as many animations as I can. I don't know how many people would actually follow based on having seen me in like a full collab thing, especially because the collabs that I've seen, sometimes they just won't list the artist during their scene. You know what I mean? Where they just don't have their name on screen at the time. And so you kind of have to like go through the credits and figure out the order that everything happened in. So that's a little annoying, and not annoying in the sense of like I wouldn't do it, but annoying in the sense that I think a lot of people probably wouldn't go through that extra effort. Um, I like to make it as easy as possible for people to find me. Not in my home, just online. So yeah, I think I would like to participate in a lot more stuff if I can. Um, but I also at some point do need to make money. So as nice as the collabs are, and as fun as it is to meet new people, I feel like uh, there's a fine line. There's a balance I need to get. And I'm working on it. I'm getting there. As I will say, the as fun as the speed battle is, it's taken a lot of effort out of me. Like I feel like not that I don't do other stuff. Obviously, I'm doing this, and I will do the speed battle for tonight. But it is just another thing to do. In the same way that streaming is a thing to do, in that I started doing it specifically so that I would be motivated to keep working on stuff. And so, as much as it is a motivation for me to keep working on stuff, it's not a motivation for me to keep working on my stuff. It's me motivating to work on something in general. This is my stuff, but the speed battle is I'm at the whim of the prompt, and I can focus on certain things that I want. I can do effects when it comes to certain topics, or I can, if I, which I did initially. Um, but I feel like at this point the prompts are kind of devolving into just universes, and so I do kind of have to fit within that framework. So I feel a little less inclined to experiment in that way. That I want to cover the topic more so than I want to play and experiment and learn. I think because in experimenting and playing, I can be a little more free. I can use OCs. I can use whoever I want essentially. Um, Whereas if it's in a certain universe, I am restrained to that, and I do inherently want to make it recognizable. So I spend a lot of my time making the characters that already exist so that they're recognizable. So that virality is important. People seeing it. Um, yeah. I need to rant about TikTok because I'm like hard stuck at a certain viewership. I was gonna say audience, but I'm hard stuck at a certain viewership, and it feels very specifically like since I've ramped up my posting, they've actually like stopped propagating my stuff to other people, and so it's very strange. Like it feels very targeted in the sense that they want me to pay to push my stuff to more people, and I refuse to do that. But it just feels very coincidental. Like for a while when I would post like maybe once a week, like a longer animation, I can get up to like 700 views. But now that I've been doing every day, it's down to like 250 max, and it's a very weird. Even the 750 views was like a weird cap, just like arbitrarily. And for all of my stuff, not all of my stuff, and for a lot of my stuff, it'll send me a notification and be like, hey, you're outperforming 90% of people with the same amount of followers. You're doing great. Keep it up. And to me, that at that moment, I think that's when they like stop showing it to other people, specifically to incentivize me to pay money for them to push it. Like, it sounds a little conspiratorial, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. That is just like they are stunting certain people. Not that I feel like I deserve more, just the idea of like there's a ratio, right? Views to likes. And if you have a certain ratio, I feel like there's no incentive not to just push it anyway. Like I think art should be enjoyed. I don't think there should be a monetary cap on who is allowed to share their stuff. And so it just feels really shitty to be like, listen, I'm making stuff that people want to see, but they're not allowed to see it by the algorithm. Which is why I think, personally, what I've found is that sharing certain things is the best way for it to spread, like sharing on stories and stuff. Um, which is why I don't have that big of a following on Instagram, but I'll always, like, if I see somebody who's very specifically, like, something that is actively inspiring me or, like, a new style that I've never seen, whatever, I'll put it on my story because I think that is more impactful than just a like. I'll put it on my story. I'll bookmark it if it's something that I feel like I can learn from, and then I'll share it to my story and send it to a friend if it's something that I know that they would like. But I think that sharing is the best way to overcome that because if somebody has enough followers to then share too, it can like pick back up. Like I have one reel that is very specifically for a content creator. Like I just added them in the description, and I wasn't expecting them to respond because they're pretty big. And so I was like, whatever. I think it would be funny. And it was something that I wanted to make. I was just like, it's a funny little one-off. It took me maybe 30 minutes. And of course, the one that I spent 30 minutes on got me the most views, and the Pikachu that I spent a year on got me like 1,000 views. Anyway, um, it feels very much like it's that sharing is the bigger thing because the creator that I was citing, uh, saw it and reposted it, and that immediately that's what got it to take off. And so like I think viewership is what's important when it comes to, or sharing is what is important to viewership because at the very least it'll keep it within the system. And I think it started a chain reaction of, oh, that person shared it, so then all these other people saw it, and then those people shared it, and then it just kind of cascaded down. It was like it's community driven. Art is community driven. It always has been, it always will be. And it's funny that corporation is what's stifling that community. They very specifically don't want people to have that power unless they authorize it. Anyway, anyway, that's just my rant. Hell yeah. There was a redraw of Make a Man Out of You that a bunch of artists worked on, and they did it right. They put all the names in the corner. That's great. I think that's what's important. And then a long list. Yeah, that's cool. Backwards to what it's supposed to, isn't it? Wow. I think you've spoken about this before or something similar. I've done that with my art. That's the spirit of posting. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of, I still need to post your monthly because I think you were the only one who posted, and I was on vacation at the time, and I completely forgot. So I need to post yours. Um, and I'll try and come up with the best like peak posting period. Um, maybe tomorrow if I remember. But I did not forget. I did remember. I looked at the monthly and I forgot. I also need to come up with a new monthly prompt. I also need to come up with a new weekly prompt. I'm behind. We did not get a weekly. Last week. Let's do. I think swordplay would be fun. I think swordplay, or like a pose with a sword would be sick. Vacation. No, it's okay. I didn't do anything on vacation. Well, I did all of the animation stuff on vacation, but it wasn't about vacation. I think swordplay would be cool. Monthly is vacation. Trying to think. That could be fun. Oh, people could do like a swimsuit episode for all of their OCs. They're all at the beach. Yay! Holiday. Pride. Ooh, it is Pride Month. You know what? Let's do Pride. I think that's a good call. Let's do Pride. That is very fitting. Oh. Okay, let me post that actually right now. Sorry, I'm responding to somebody on chat or the in the Discord. People posting. Uh, okay. Weekly exercise. Okay. This week's prompt, you can see me typing in real time and it's very slow and bad, is, what did I say? Swordplay. What's a good addition to the prompt? You know, something to incentivize. It can be poses, it can be fights, it can be animated. Be a different weapon. It doesn't have to be a sword. Any sharp bladed weapon. Let's see, edgy. All right. See, this is why you tune in. This is why you tune into the stream. You have authority over what I do. You give me ideas, and I will do them sometimes, especially if they're good. I almost said prime. Right? We're doing Logan Paul's Prime Energy. That's the prompt. Trying to think of how I want to word the prompt, the description. Not making for good TV. I'm thinking internally of how I want to phrase this. Uh, okay, I think that's good. I also need to edit this. I feel like swordplay is just the best way to word like any kind of weapon showmanship, you know. So you could do like a scythe, you could do like a scimitar. It's a sword. Anyway, I'm your number one fan, genius manager. Thank you. Weapon design. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Soul Eater character would be sword. Soul Eater OC. Yeah, that would be sick. Trying to make a new drink template. Pride is obviously about identity, but it can be lions. It can be something else. That's fair. That's what I'll have to end up doing because I'm not a part of the community. I'm just an ally, and I feel it feels weird for me to be somebody who's like, here's my pride. And it's just more of a. I probably wouldn't do lions because of the whole internet thing where it's like, a lion is an alpha. You know, the alpha males have kind of co-opted the term lion or pride or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's not my moment. It's for other people, but I can provide the space for it. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that, but they're really big on pretending like they're badasses, and they've stolen lions, and they're just cool. They're cool. Lions are cool. In fact, very funny for them to equate themselves to lions because the male lions don't do anything. The women that go hunting. I said women. The female lions go hunting, and the males just sit there on their ass. Sometimes they hunt, but like the girls go out and they teach the cubs how to hunt too. It's fun. Lions are cool, and so it's just very funny to equate yourself to a lion as an alpha male because it's like it's a bad example. Honestly, comparing yourself to any animal really in nature is really stupid because a lot of the times the animals have a matriarchy, and I don't think a lot of people recognize that. Uh, there's a lot of female-dominated animal species in the animal kingdom, and it's unfortunate that we're the only one who is. We're not the only one, but for the most part. They know that the females run the pride. They don't. They don't. They just want to look cool, and they're not. Because lions look cool. They do cool stuff. They look intimidating, but they don't do anything. I do like, as much as I don't like zoos, it is good. The zoo that's local to me is very good about like doing rehab and like keeping animals that were already sheltered so that they wouldn't have survived in the wild. Usually, I feel like they don't do breeding for the sake of keeping the zoos populated, but they do protect endangered species and stuff like that. So that I can respect. Um, but it is very sad sometimes to just go in the zoo and see them sitting there not doing anything. But the lion that we have at our zoo is he never does anything. He's just always laying there if he's ever out, and I feel so bad. But he's very cool to look at, and I wish he would do more or feel motivated to do more. I think they should expand his area so he has more. What is that called? Enrichment. He needs more enrichment. They need to expand the area. Um, but they expanded the elephant enclosure. That's cool. Felt very bad for the elephants because they were all penned up all the time in this very small little shack and it smelled bad. I feel like it'll be better if they're all outside and more spread out. Okay, what's we doing with Woody? Saw a picture stating that between us, orcas, and one other animal, failing to remember, it's kind of like one of these things is not like the others. In terms of like the patriarchy versus matriarchy leadership, because I didn't know that orcas were matriarchy either. I know that bonobos are very specifically matriarchal in that they'll always protect the females of the. I was gonna say pride, but I think what is a group of. I'm trying to think of like a group of chimpanzees. If it's like a habitat, what is it? Not cluster, not hive. You know what I mean? Like the setting in which there's a group of like a murder for crows. You know, I don't know what the equivalent is for like gorillas, like a nest. I feel like they say it in Tarzan. Tribe. It's not tribe. I don't know. Let's look it up. Uh, because the females of the species are empathetic, but we're the ones that, they're the only ones that don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bonobos. Let me look and see. I'll look up group of gorillas. I feel like those are probably in the ape family, similarly named group of gorillas. The first thing that came up on Reddit was a group of gorillas is called a band, and it's the r/gorillas the band Reddit. That's very funny. A troop. Ah, it's a troop. They don't say that in Tarzan. I feel like I would have remembered troop, but that's cool. Group. Let's see if bonobos is different. Uh, Cannons. Interesting. Bonobos called a troop. They are also a troop. Okay, so that just must be an ape thing in general. That's cool. I'm gonna try and find the picture. Yeah, 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 post it if you find it. Put it in the memes and such. I got hungry out of nowhere. Move. Woody. I like the direction of his torso movement. I was going through the collab, I was really hoping I could find a clip that I wanted specifically, and I think the one that came to mind was when Woody is beating the shit out of Buzz and slamming against the ground, and he goes, Buzz, Buzz, Buzz. That's the bit that I wanted, but it was already taken, unfortunately. So I just found the nearest one to that because I really like the sequence where they're trying to run around and hide at the arcade. Um, so I picked this one. It's very funny. I also, I think the Pizza Planet truck scenes were taken as well. Because them Woody getting slammed around with the toolbox while Buzz is buckled in the seatbelt is so funny. I should watch Toy Story again. Sorry, my tricep is killing me. I just started working out again. I'm gonna get shredded. But not too much. You know what I mean? I don't want to do too much because there was a point in my life where I went way too hard and I took it too seriously and it was just a waste of time. Because I have a limit. There's a limit for everybody's body where you're like, you can get fit and then you can get like really fit, like be way too into it. Like normally a human would not look like that because like even if they were, back in the day when we were living and hunting and running around all day, they would not have looked like that. Um, and they were like super fit. So to me it's like I don't think I need to be beyond the non-sedentary lifestyle of like fit. You know what I mean? Like just active. I go like 3 times a week, and just are active for a while. Honestly, I'd love to be active more, um, but there was a point where I was like forcing myself to eat food, and I would go to the gym for like 3 times a day, every day for a week, except for, I think I maybe did 6 days, maybe instead of 7. It was crazy for no reason. For no reason. A healthy amount of healthy is a good way to put it. Yes, I genuinely, I think I developed a slight case of body dysmorphia where it was just like I never felt like I was gonna get to the point that I wanted to, and it was not good. And I recognized that, and so I stopped. I was like, listen, as nice as it is to go to the, but I went too far the other way, and I just like stopped working out entirely. I was just like, I don't need to right now. I had too much shit going on. Still have too much shit going on. And it's also to be one of those people who's like when you're traveling or like going like I was going doing stuff, and so it was like I can't always find a gym. It seems silly to like force people to build their schedule around me so that I can go to the gym. It was too much, and I was like, I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm never gonna do like counting calories. I'm never gonna do. I was just like, I'm gonna eat until I'm full, and maybe a little too much, a little too full. But that was a problem for me. At that point, I was like, I can't. That's unhealthy. So this time around, I'm just gonna work out until I feel good, until I can lift things that I feel I should be able to lift, like objects around my house. I'm struggling. There was something that I struggled to lift the other day, and I was like, that feels bad. I should be able to lift this. Uh, and I also get, I guess I don't get winded, but I can improve my stamina a little bit. But yeah, I found like a threshold of like, you'll never get bigger than this. This is the biggest you can get without assistance. And I don't want to do steroids because there are crazy side effects. And that's where I feel like a lot of men fall into a trap of like, you have to be this big, you have to look like this. They fall for the scam of like, oh, if you take my supplement, then you can look like this, and it's like, brother, you're also on a bunch of steroids. You're on HGH. It's not your 30 grams of protein custom protein powder blend that's making you look like that. It's the full testosterone that you're taking. And that's where I realized I was like, that's not feasible. I'm not going to hurt myself for the sake of really nothing. It's not for anybody but me. It doesn't do anything for me unless I was going to make that my lifestyle and do like bodybuilding or something. But wait, does he cover his mouth back up after he says I'm lost? I'm lost. Yes, he covers his mouth back up and then he does the down. He's also like looking down if he does that, so that's funny. Now, does he fall back? Yeah, he just rolls his head back. So this is sink a little bit. So he might go back a little bit. He does go back a little bit. On my family vacation, I learned everybody's favorite songs, and I found out that my grandpa's. I said grandpa. His name is Granddad. It's an Irish thing. We're not that Irish, but I do like that we've chosen to say Granddad because it's very like specifically Irish. Um, so my granddad, I found out his one of his favorite songs is that song from Grand Theft Auto 5 with the saxophone, and I can't play it because YouTube hates me. Let me find the song. I also didn't turn the sound back on. I didn't turn back on the music. Check, make sure that that's going to continue. Great. Okay. Watch me get flagged anyway. It's going to happen. Just know it. I just know it. I can feel it in my soul. Can't seem to find it. How a female orca's job doesn't end because she can't reproduce. It evolves. She becomes the matriarch. That's really cool. I feel like that is something that they, in animal societies, a lot of the times they build in that like the the females are usually the matriarchs, right? And they are like the wisdom keepers. They're the ones that once they've stopped producing, they will then become the wisdom holders to then educate the younger generations. I don't know what the fuck the men do, but they don't. I said men again. It's not the males. I don't know what the males do. I feel like if the females in those scenarios are the wisdom keepers, then the males are the ones who do the physical stuff in that scenario. So maybe the lions, the males are the wisdom keepers, and the females are the hunters. Maybe. Pods led by grandmothers have significantly higher survival rates. That's awesome. That's such a cool fact. It probably is like just a wisdom thing. Like they know that they're smart. They know what to do. That's crazy. What was I gonna say about something about the keeping? Oh, recently I read some story about like there was a group of chimpanzees and there was a male chimpanzee that hurt a baby, and the female chimpanzees came and beat the shit out of the male chimpanzee and ostracized him from the group and only let him back in once he like very specifically knew his place and would never like they would not allow him near the babies ever again. Like they kept Neptune very specifically off to the side. It was crazy. Super cool. Orcas are my favorite animal of all time. I love learning new facts. That's great. Orcas are a good one. They're scary though. They're fucking mean. But that's a good pick. And I love that they take out billionaire yachts. I think that's funny. I think that them just flopping on top of them and just being like, oops, my bad. Not really though, is really funny. So, big ups to them. They're doing God's work. What was I gonna look up? Was I gonna look something up? It's gone. Whatever it was, it's gone. Out of my head. If you can bring it back, be my guest. Keep saying it. through that playlist that I made, and we're gonna find all the Christmas carols, and we're gonna cut them out. Is that quote from Gurren Lagann? Believe in the me that believes in you. The Discord. I was all caught up in the Discord. It's almost July. God, you're so right. I've cut Pride short for everybody. Now I feel bad. Same way that I cut February short too, and that's Black History Month. There was something else that I fucked up, and I was just like, this is not going to reflect well on my values. This is not. People won't believe me when I say I'm an ally. Spider bite. No, don't side by side that, please. Don't side by side that, please. There we go. There we go. Why did we do that? Aha! I made it bigger. There we go. I was making a Christmas in July joke. Oh, I see. I was like, fuck. I did miss a couple of days. I feel bad. But let's be honest, who starts the prompt day one, you know? I wait until the last week if I even remembered to do it at all. I didn't do last year, or last week. There we go. Oh, because of the music. I forgot the context of that. I say so many things. You must forgive me. I talk too fucking much. I just yap. And I forget what I say. And I just hope that it lands whenever I said it. What is this reminding me of? Oh, what is that? I don't know. I don't know any of the words. I got some commissions, so I'll be doing a few drawings this week. Nice. Good work. I did all of my commissions. These are all freelance, or not freelance. These are all just free projects that I'm working on. So get pro bono. These are for attention. Those are very funny too, because they keep the hands fairly. I don't know that they have. I guess they do have like articulation in the fingers, but since he's like a hard plastic toy, except for the fibrous body, like all the edges are like a plastic. I feel like most of the time they default to his hands not being all folded up or bent fingers. This is a great shot. I'm actually really happy that I'm doing this because this is a good, just a oneer. This is just one animation frame. I feel like I get too caught up in when I'm doing these speed battles. I always feel the need to do alternate scenes for some reason. Like I think I need to do a narrative every time I do something. There has to be some establishing shot, and so that's where I struggle with just doing cool, flashy whatevers, because for whatever reason, my brain works narratively, and I think it's probably because I'm more geared towards storyboarding than I am actual animation. Not that I can't do animation. I think that that's very fun in its own right, but I think of the gestalt, the overall project. Maybe I'm designed to be an animation director, but I think that the animating process for me is most fun when it's very gestural, when it's very loose, when it's very storyboard wide. Like you're just getting big information and not so much subtle stuff. But the subtle stuff is so important too, so I recognize how important that is, and so I want to be good at both. I want to be good at animation and I want to be good at storyboarding. And I think my issue is that for these speed battles I've only been doing storyboarding, essentially, where I'm just laying out scenes rather than just picking a scene, sticking with it, and making it as good as I can in that small amount of time. So I think I'm going to try and do that for the rest of what I'm doing. It's just one scene. I don't need to do anything flashy. I don't have to have transitions or anything. No screen wipes, but I'll just do one. Maybe I do a oneer, and maybe I stick with just like stick people for the most part. Because I think the more lines you have, the more easy it is to get distracted. And so I think I'm going to try and do more clean, like, silhouettes, rather than filling them in with, like, proportions, I think. There's one guy who's participating in the speed battle who's doing, like, essentially just lines to represent the limbs, and it's just like, I was going to try and show you with my hands, but I'll show you with my drawing. Forgot I can do that. Hey. So he'll just do like a head, and then like shoulders, and then like torso, and then like arms, and I think he just goes down to the hips, like it's just all one rectangle. And then he'll have like, I think he does indicators with like a dot for the elbows, and then like, you know, a circle for the hands, just to keep track of that. And then he'll draw across, and then just do legs, and do joints, and then feet. And I feel like he gets a lot done, and it's very clean. But it's very funny to consider that it's very cleanly, like 24 frames a second, one frame, he's on ones, 24 frames a second. With just a stick guy, there's no content necessarily, like, but it's really well done. Like the timing, the pacing, the motion, all really well done. I wouldn't think to do that, because for me, it's like there has to be some kind of emotional attachment to the character. But it truly is just a showcase of animation, so it totally makes sense to just not do character design. And that is where I usually not fall flat, but I spend all my time on that, and then I lose time for animation itself. It's more of an illustrated animation. So, I think I need to start doing that. So I can get more into the idea of plotting the motion, the spacing, the timing, all that. Owie! I also need to... I got busy yesterday, but I was really busy yesterday, actually. I meant to set up my OBS. I need to figure out how to do dual streaming. I'm going to take care of that, because, again, I feel like... I'm sure you were there when I was talking about it, but I feel like I need to do more, like, community stuff within streaming, and so I want to be able to do raids, and I don't think you can do that with YouTube. So I need to figure out how to do that with Twitch. Because I know you can do it on Twitch. I used to do that. Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I'm going to try and get that set up soon. Let me put it in my notes. I feel like I put it in my notes, but not... I have that I'm going to post the monthly results. I'll do that off stream. This. Ooh, I need to do that. Ooh, I need to do that. And yes, okay. So hopefully within the week. The way that I lay out my to-do list is that I have little hyphen. I'll just like separate everything and just be like, all right, you got to get all this shit done soon. This is coming up. And then I'll just make a space, and it's like, all right, this is a little less important, but if you get to it, great. Some of it is like stuff that I want to get done that'll, help my brain function properly. If I get it out of the way, it's not something that's on the back burner that's eating away at my psyche. And then I have more stuff that's just like, I'm gonna do these eventually. Whenever I can, I'll just go back through that and like, oh, now I have time for this, and then I'll bump that up. So I never actually finish my to-do list. There's just constantly a ever-growing list of things that I will hopefully get done at some point. I also have, if I'm ever like super bored, when I get to a certain point, I'm going to, I have a list of things, I just have ideas. I just have a list of ideas that something will pop in my head and I'll just go, interesting. But never, it's never something that it's something that I've recognized is like, this is a long-term project that I can't dedicate time to right now, so it stays there and doesn't go onto the to-do list. But if it's a small project, I can add it to the to-do list currently because I don't have any big things that I'm working on specifically. Other than Tower Dungeon is on the back burner, Cerulege is on the back burner. I have big projects. I can't finish anything in this house. Can't finish a damn thing. Anyway, I feel like Professor Calamitous from Jimmy Neutron. But my idea is that once I've finished my to-do list, quote unquote, that I will just go through my things list of backups, and just like I want to see if I can do. I'm going to challenge myself to do like a speed battle thing for myself, and just like dedicate just one day for this project, one day for this project, one day for this project, and just get as much of it done as I can, and then post that and see if any of that sticks. And if it's something that gets some traction, then I know that that's an idea that people actually resonate with, as opposed to something that I'm just like, you know. And if I ever die before I get through all of these, I'm just going to have somebody, in my will, I'm just going to tell them, just upload that list and see if any of those ideas resonate. Hollywood can have it, whatever. If there's any ideas that are sick enough that I think that it should be made into a movie. Because I have a couple that I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. That's a pretty good idea. I just don't have time dedicated to that. Let me see if I have any good examples. On standby. That's not a very good idea. I don't know why I did that. Some of these are stupid, and I was awake at like way too late of an hour for me to think straight. I'm just gonna read this one, and you're just gonna make of it what you will. This is just raw. This is my raw intellect shining through. This is my brain. This is my diary. Send me the list. I'll get it out there. I will absolutely make sure that happens. And to Lone Wolvern, I leave my list of bullshit ideas. I have an idea for an animation where I'm making dinner, and I see a bug on the counter, and I slap it, and then I look at my hand. This is an animation. So you're imagining. I could make this an animatic pretty quickly if I really wanted to. I slap it, and then I look at my hand, and I go, "Who told you could be on the?" I yell at it, and I say, "Who told you to be on the counter?" And then I go, the bug on my hand, because this actually happened to me. I remember slapping a bug while I was making food, and I was like, bah. And my first thought was, what if this was my pet? So I blow him off of my hand into a tiny bug bed labeled bug bed, and I point and I say bad bug, and then I kiss him on the forehead. And that's my idea. I'm over here now. I'm going over here. There's a reason I haven't finished any of these ideas. Sometimes I just have a stupid idea that I'm just like, I think that would be a really funny animated short to just do a little animatic and just slap the bug. I told you could be on the counter. Bug bed. Good night. That's the idea. That's it. I could do that right now. I could make that right now. But I'm working on a Toy Story. I think it would be great. I appreciate your support. Maybe I'll do it in Storyboard Pro as just an exercise. Actually, I should probably do it in Clip Studio Paint so I can practice more. But yeah, that's the stupid shit I come up with. There's some genuine good ones that I'm actually like excited to eventually get to, but that wasn't one of them. Some of these aren't even like animation ideas. Some of these are just like stupid ideas. Like, for instance, they should have drunk movie theaters. Like, it's essentially karaoke, but with your friends, where you rent a private room and you can watch whatever movie you want, and you can just make a fucking mess, and like a rage room, but for movies, right? It's like karaoke, but for movies, where you just sit with your friends and you get drunk and you watch like High School Musical 3, and you do like a drinking game where every time Troy starts singing, you drink, or whenever Gabriella flips her hair, or whatever. You know what I mean? It speaks to your brand, like jumping off a cliff onto a trampoline, super serious and then funny. I try to do that, and I'm glad you've picked up on that. I do have like I have a calling card. I don't know if you've gone through my YouTube channel I don't know if I even posted it on the YouTube channel. But I have an old animation from like 4 years ago, and I called it The Myth of Sisyphus. Not Sisyphus, Sisyphus, like scissors. because this all stemmed, and this is one of those ideas. The same with slapping the bug. My idea was that every time I buy a pair of scissors in my life, which has only been like 2 or 3 times, it's always the scissors always come in the cut-proof wrappings, right? They're always in the cut-proof packaging. So you cannot open scissors unless you have scissors. So I made an animation of a guy who buys scissors at the store, brings them home, gets into his apartment, and just throws them on the ground because his entire apartment is filled of packs of scissors that he cannot open because he doesn't have scissors. Anyway. I'm glad you saw that. But yes, that is my brand, is just like normal, everyday, whatever. Or, you know, more serious, guy jumping off a cliff is pretty deep, pretty dark. You just squeeze it, I think that's how it opens. Are you telling me? Are you telling me that there's a way to open those without scissors? My entire life. I have videos on it. Well, then my short doesn't make any sense. Now everyone knows I'm stupid and I don't know how to do that. I've literally never seen that done. I've never heard that. Just keep blowing your mind today. I need to lie down. What am I doing? I need to calm down. I didn't know. But now that you've said that, I imagined like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because there's like two panels that would separate if you just kind of pinch it in the middle, and then you just barehand it. But some of them are really hard, and some of them, because I'm imagining the ones, I think you're thinking of the ones where they have like the rivets in them, where it's like the little circles that they kind of punch them close to each other, and then you can't open them. Like Skullcandy earbuds, those always have these fucking things were impossible to get out of the little shell. All of the buttons I would pull it, but then it would like snap, and so then I just had separate plastic, but then it was all still attached. Anyway, I don't think it's common knowledge. Okay, well now everybody knows. Apparently, you can just squeeze the scissors in the scissor wrapping, and it'll open. I love Skullcandy. I used to love Skullcandy, but every time I would buy the earbuds, they would crap out really quickly, and I would only end up with one. So I bought these just because I wanted a pair of headphones that I could use with a mic for like recording TikToks, because I have another pair of earbuds that I really like that are checker patterned, super cool, and they don't work. The mic doesn't work, so I can't use those. So I had to buy Skullcandies, or maybe I just had them lying around. And for some ungodly reason, you can't record audio with Beats wireless. I've got my wireless Beats AirPods, and they don't work for recording. I can talk on the phone with them, but it won't let me record audio for TikToks. So, and my phone case prevents sound from being recorded as well, which is fucking annoying. But I like having the waterproof aspect, and I like having the clear shell in the back. And it protects the screen. So it's a nice case, but it's just it sucks that it doesn't let sound through. It's annoying. Anyway. Yeah, it's super annoying. I don't know why the Beats don't work, because I think they record pretty solid audio when they work, but yeah. Maybe it's a permissions thing for the device for TikTok. But I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. I'm gonna add a little bit more, and then I'll probably wrap up at like 6:30, so I'll give you like another hour. Just because I'm getting hungry from out of nowhere. Probably because I started working out again. Probably because I was lifting so big yesterday. Is my... Yeah, my guy's gone. Okay. Alright, I will be right back. I'm back. What's up? How's it going? Sorry, let me get my stuff set back up. There we go. Hello, watcher. Do you love the stream? Like, comment, and subscribe. I also have a Discord. Yo, what is up? Welcome in. Just chilling while you work. More people show up when he walks away. I'm back. I'm here. I promise. Feel free to interrupt me at any time. I ramble like nobody's business. Please stop my stream of consciousness, because the perks of being on stream is that there's other people who are watching me who then know exactly what I've said and can remind me where I was when I'm interrupted. And it's totally fine. It's great, actually. My brain loves to just go on a tangent, so I'm totally down with that. Anyway. How are you enjoying the rants? Scissor part made me laugh. I have to make a sequel. I have to make a sequel where the guy figures out how to snap them open by himself with his bare hands, and then he realizes he doesn't need scissors. The scissors were inside him all along. The scissors were the friends we made along the way. Alright. I keep forgetting that you guys can't see the reference video, so I'm like, oh, they see how good this is. They don't see how good this is. Scissors were the friends. That's where I was. No, I was on the down. He had his mouth open. I don't want to leave this frame. I'll lose it. Did I have this done? Is this done? I think I need to make this more perspective. Very specifically force that. Like that. Okay. I think I can. It's fine. It's fine. No, he does have like a lip. He does open his mouth at one point, but that's not the point that I'm at. They're like the little like lip quiver. One of those, you know? Like pursing his lips, and they're making that like, yeah, perfect. There's something very funny about the fact that I watch so many cartoons that I've never really like sat down and studied expressions. I just kind of have an inherent knowledge of, like, I just have a library. I have a repository of crazy animation expressions. Now, obviously, I use reference when it's something that I need to like look back on to confirm that I was correct about the way that the face was shaped. But for the most part, I'm pretty good about just like guesstimating how to sell an emotion based on the face. I'm also a human who has a face, so that helps. Shit. Oh my god. Sorry, I just glanced over at my TV, and it's the part of Soul Eater where they fight the Chainsaw Man. The original Chainsaw Man. Okay, so I think I have the main parts of this character acting. So this part, I'm gonna have a lot of waggling back and forth. He's kind of like begging God, you know, for a while. So that's gonna be a long segment with just some very nuanced character acting. He's just kind of bobbling his head around in his hands. Buzz is not moved, I don't think. Let me double check that. Buzz stood up and is just idling. and he's looking around and glancing at Woody. Yeah. I also didn't recognize how much... This is a Steadicam shot. Oh, no. No, it's a tracking shot on Woody. Never mind. That's a fixed camera angle. And then it tracks him down. And at that point, it moves with him. And I'm gonna wager a bet that they tethered the camera to part of his body that wasn't moving too much. Because I recently watched some tutorial, or not some tutorial, a behind the scenes of how they broke down the animating in Toy Story initially. Because back in the day, they had to create their own animation software to make it happen. And so they were essentially pioneering the framework for what 3D animation would become. And so they don't have anything near, they didn't have anything near what we have now, in that they would have to, like, literally just enter in the timestamps. They didn't have controllers to, like, move geometry through space. They didn't have the corresponding. They couldn't just click on an object and twist it. They had to go to the timeline, find the object that they were talking about, and then tell it to go to a certain position with just numbers. They were essentially mathematicians. They were not animators. Which was crazy to witness. I was like, I wouldn't have gone into animation if that was the case. There's no fucking way. But I think a lot of them were just engineers who were good at coding, and they were like, hey, you guys made this software, you know how to work it the best, can you animate this movie? And they were like, yep. And they did, and that's how 3D animation was not born, but, you know, handled, worked. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those original Pixar shorts that they used to do that were the 3D, like the unicycle. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe Red? Might be called Red? Big Red? Little Red. The unicycle, and then there was a short with the baby and its stuffed animal or its toy or something. And then there was a snowman and a snow globe. And I think the lamps were a short that they had, which was then why they used the lamp for the Pixar logo. And there was something else. The Tin Toy Soldier? Tin Soldier? Anyway. But with those, they were so... Like, it's inspiring to look back and watch, because they were so shit. Like, they don't look good. But people loved them because they were a moment of, like, they took an object and they put human emotion into it. And that was, like, the entire framework. That has always been the entire framework of Disney, is, like, well, Pixar, specifically. All the Pixar movies. I'm not sure if you know. But the joke is, it's like, oh, what if cars, but they were people? What if toys, but they were people? What if monsters, but they were people, you know? So, I think that was a really brilliant framework to work off of, and that was their initial shows, were the little shorts of those things. And they recognize that people connect and resonate with those things that are personified. We have a very good ability to make characters out of nothing. I saw a post about somebody who was like, my psych professor, day one, walked in and put googly eyes on a pencil and said his name was Sheldon, and then he snapped him in half and everyone gasped. And it was like, it's just a pencil. I've tricked you. The human brain loves to personify and relate to things that don't exist. And they just utilize that thought of, like, it doesn't have to look great, but people will see it if it's entertaining in a way that relates to them, you know? Anyway. I vaguely remember seeing a behind the scenes and it being jank. Yeah, it was super crazy the way that they did it, where it was like, I think that's how they did a lot of their trickery too, is that they would just have the camera tethered in such a way that it would just show certain things. I'm trying to think of how they did the camera too, because there aren't, like, I don't know that the camera really moves during most action sequences in Toy Story. I think it's a lot of just fixed camera angles. There might be some tracking shots in the first one. There's definitely in the second one, because I'm thinking of when they're crossing the street, but that was like 4 years after for Toy Story 2, I think. But yeah, they had they were brilliant for sure that they were able to work with what they had, because it was, I wouldn't be an animator if that was the thing that I had to do. If I had to like plot it out and go, oh, if I enter in 392, his head will move here, and like just the whole thing. And I'm sure, I hope they at least had keyframing, where if you do keyframes, and then there would just be tweening from one point to another, because the motion is really good in Toy Story. Like, they have the principles of animation down, and so I can't imagine them struggling so much that they wouldn't be able to, like, they wouldn't have to do it frame by frame for the animation. I have to imagine that, because otherwise, if they had to pose them all with just digits, that would be insane. I also heard something about, was it Toy Story or was it Bug's Life, where there was a woman on maternity leave who had the whole project backed up on her file, or on her computer, and while she was on maternity leave, they accidentally deleted the whole movie. And so the only thing that saved them was that she had a backup from a couple of months before she went on maternity leave. So they did have to backtrack, but yeah, that was crazy. That was Toy Story 2, where that happened? That's crazy. She saved the day. That kid saved the day. I'm really glad they didn't end up losing Toy Story 2, because that's a good movie. I don't know if I had to pick a Toy Story movie. I don't know if I would pick Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3. Toy Story 1, phenomenal. It doesn't look amazing. Toy Story 2 looks better. And I'm not somebody who really cares about the visuals of something, but it is dated to a degree that it does affect the animation quality itself. Where, like, you could tell that they were kind of... I guess you couldn't tell necessarily, but it feels less lively than the following ones. There's a lot more expression in 2 and 3. And that just might have been a byproduct of them not having the experience. If these were just coders and they didn't have any idea how to animate before that, that would be a valid reason as to why the animation might not be as good as it should have been, and why they were able to improve upon it in the second iteration. But yeah, I think I would pick Toy Story. That's so hard, because I think I would pick Toy Story 2, even though 3 is like the perfect ending. I hate that they made 4 and 5 and are making 6. I hate it. I hate it so much. It is the Disney move to just milk it for all it's worth. I hate it. Because Toy Story 3 wrapped it up so beautifully. There was a moment where all of the people who grew up with Toy Story were able, as adults, to we had been through it. I think I was still in college when that came out, actually. And so I was like, I'm Andy. And I gave away my toys. I actually have a lot of them left still, but I am Andy in this moment of leaving these things behind, having to grow up and do other stuff, and Andy being the kind person that he was, giving his toys away, understanding that somebody else can use them better. So that was very cute. I liked the subplot with Bonnie. I thought that was very sweet. And that was a good way to end the whole series. That's how you had full circle. But they didn't. So that pissed me off. Anyway. What's your favorite Toy Story? Leave it in the comments below. Tell me why I'm wrong. Maybe that's why I picked Toy Story 2 over Toy Story 3, is that Toy Story 3 got immediately undermined by all of the subsequent sequels, whereas Toy Story 2 can stand alone without the implication of it having been the final one. That's going to be my excuse, just to punish them for making 4, 5, and 6. Are they making 6, or are they on 5? I don't know. I saw 3 in theaters, so probably that one. That was fun. I remember that, as big as piracy is with Disney and how they are very litigious, I remember very specifically there was a meme going around of people having gotten the pirated copy, and it just ends when they're going into the incinerator. Somebody edited it so that they cut out the entire last 10 minutes of the movie, and it just ends when they go in the incinerator, and there's no saving at the end. So funny. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Toy Story 3. But yeah, that was a good movie to see in theaters for sure. All right, let's put on the run cycle more. Chill lo-fi. This is gonna get you music. What am I listening to? Almost crescendo. Dark. That's the tag on it. Dark. Right. Get rid of that. Trap Trip. That's what this one is. Get how hands look. I have two of them, and I forget which side the thumb goes on. make him a little more floppy. I could make him a little more Toy Story 3. Because in Toy Story 3, they really nailed the animation. I remember there was like a showcase where they just isolated the spot where he was trying to escape the school, and he like gets in the kite, falls out of the tree. No. Sorry, before all of that, he goes to the bathroom. Him climbing out of the bathroom. That's the scene that I've seen that's very like pinnacle of 3D animation type stuff. And it's really well done. There's a lot of good acting. They have a good squash and stretch and follow through and secondary action. Maybe not secondary action. Well, no, secondary action, because his arms flop around behind him while he's running. That's one of my favorite things. So I want to try and emulate that if I can. But I'm in 2D. So let's play through this and just see generally what this is going to look like. Let's do it at like 4 frames a second. So I don't get flagged. Yeah, so that doesn't really work when... First of all, I'm going to have to pace it out so that it's in line with the audio. Let's see how many frames, because I think the clip is 11 seconds long. So 11 seconds at 24 frames a second, that's 240 plus 24, 264. 264 frames. So it must be a little bit over. Yeah. And it could be a matter of the audio clip. Check how long this is. Does it tell me? Not time interpolation, speed duration, that's what it is. 1217, okay. So 12 times, so that would be 240 plus 48, 268. Is that right? 268? No. No. 288 plus 17 is 88 plus 17, 95? No. It's 305. 305. Is that where I'm at? 307 on here. But probably I could end at 305. Love that that looping song just randomly cut out, to the point that it was jarring and snapped me out of what I was doing. I usually don't notice when songs end, but that was pretty crazy. That was great. It's crazy, it's crazy, it's crazy. Alright. Let me... I'm gonna go through and look at the spots where it is just essentially a hold frame. That's a hold frame. Does he stay? Yes. He just drops down to his knees and then his head is down for a while. Begs to God for a while. He cries for a second. So proportionally that is less. Those are the bigger actions. That's a very short one. We'll keep that on a 1. That one holds for a little bit. Hold on. Let's play it. That actually doesn't hold for very long. I don't know why I thought it did. Just gonna move his neck out because he's very like comes very forward. Doesn't he realize I'm not there? Very animated. Why would that be? I say stupid shit sometimes. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm being dragged away earlier than expected. Thank you for the stream. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Bye. Thank you for keeping me company and for the ideas. So many good ideas today. I've written them down. Oh, but that was fun. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna do like 15 more minutes, and then I'm probably gonna dip out. So I'm getting hungry. I'm peckish. I feel like I've said that like 3 times now. Just go. But I'm here for the people. Down, and then I can figure out where I can add little bits. Another one here. The arms. Quick, what's that from? Quick, what's that from? Can't give you anything. I don't have money. If you get it right. But I like saying stupid shit that I just always fixate on. I have trigger phrases. There's certain phrases that I hear and I'm just like, I have to finish that sentence. Somebody says chickens, I have to say, look at all those chickens. You know? I'm like a sleeper agent. Crawl on solos. I gotta fill in those gaps. It's got another hold here. I'm just gonna hold this one for a couple to emulate the fact that that one holds too. I feel like that one holds longer potentially. Let me look. Actually, that's shorter. That's shorter. He realizes very quickly what's happened. That one's longer too. This is the longer hold. Oops. Because that's where he blinks. That's where he blinks around a lot. So there's a couple more in-betweens that I need to add there. That's very quick where he releases. Very quick where he falls to his knees. Oh, I'm a lost boy. It's there for a while. Okay. So I can do the in-betweens here. I'll finish up these in-betweens, then I'll do. How's that sound? Does that sound good? I'm gonna do it anyway. Is this the reanimated from 1? Yes, I am working on a commission. Well, not a commission. It's just a reanimated collab. I think it was hosted on. I didn't go through Newgrounds. Somebody recommended it to me. Actually, no. Somebody reached out to me. I guess they saw me on Newgrounds, and they reached out and asked if I would like to participate. And yes, this is a reanimated collab of all of Toy Story 1, and it's towards the end of their recruitment phase. So I was recruited fairly last, close to last, and so there were very few clips left available, and I really wanted. I think the claw would have been fun. I think the one that I really wanted was Woody grabbing Buzz and slamming him into the ground at the gas station. In this scene, well, the next couple of scenes. But that one was taken, unfortunately, so I just picked the nearest one to it at the gas station, because this whole sequence is great. Like, getting into the car, and the Pizza Planet car, Woody getting thrown around in the toolbox, and Buzz just hanging out in the seatbelt. And then, what was the other sequence that I really liked? Oh, for whatever reason, I really love them sneaking into Pizza Planet while they're in the, Buzz is in the styrofoam thing and Woody's in the cup. I love that sequence because I thought it was so fucking funny that Woody was talking with the straw. They used the straw to indicate his emotions, and it's just golden. Like, animation it has the capacity to be so fucking good and funny and solid all around. And they just don't care. Disney doesn't care. Shit sucks. It's fine. But just like peak bit. Such a good bit. Good bit studio. Oh, you should go pay me money to make you something. That is why I called it Good Bit, is because my friends and I have a bit. We were playing D&D, and I was the DM, and at a certain point, we get fed up with each other at a certain point throughout the night. We sidetrack so often and just do side chat and stuff, and we've gotten to the point where we recognize that that's just inescapable, and so we kind of incorporated it into the timing of the session. And I'm sure other DMs probably didn't like it as much as I did, but we're just all there having fun with each other, so I really don't care what we do during that time. I know that some people prefer that we actually play D&D, but I just like that we're having fun with our friends, So anyway, there was one point where I sarcastically was getting frustrated. I wasn't actually mad that we weren't progressing, but it's just as a reminder to people, like, hey, we're playing D&D. Just keep that in mind. If you do want to continue, we need to cut the chatter. And so one of my friends had some bit where we, like, we had just slayed a dragon and they had a dragon skull or something. Maybe it was a skeletal dragon that we were fighting. That's what it was. We fought a skeletal dragon at a vampire castle, and it was very fun. And they insisted that they carry the dragon skull. And so they walked into a shop to try and sell it. And the shopkeeper was like, I don't have any room for that. Get the fuck out of my store. And they went, and the shopkeeper was like, good bit, get out. And so I've carried that with me. And so it's Good Bit Studio. Because just every once in a while, whenever we have a really annoying bit, like that it's very obviously like not a good joke, but we recognize that it was an attempt at a joke, we'll just go, good bit, alright, moving on, you know? So, I thought that was fun that I incorporate that into my business. And I think it makes a good logo. I think it's a cute, like, because it's a bit on a computer, and I make computer animated. Anyway. That's my lore drop for the day. Also good. I think I'm good, you know? I want to emulate goodness. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Sorry, you can see I get sidetracked a lot. So I really don't mind the interruptions at all, actually. Oh golly, I hope these line up well enough. I am one off. Oops. So this all needs to move forward one. No, we'll delete this. Move this forward. Can I do nudging? No. Then I think it would be the last spin. Is that right? This one. Actually, what I will do is I'll just keep that on threes. Trick for any animators out there, if you're ever changing scenes, a good way to make sure that the audience is catching things, they catch the transition between scenes, is to give yourself some time in between that transition. So oftentimes whenever I'm doing a transition, even if it's a very quick, just like throwaway, like cutaway, I'll still add an extra frame at the very beginning just so the brain has a second, just a very split second to process that things have shifted and that they should now be looking at this in a different way. Just a little trick. Wait, did I fuck that up? Oh no, it's just the software was fucked up. I think I'm also going to have to slow that down or add in between. Because on 24 frames a second, that's very fast. It looks pretty good. I'll probably add in between to slow it down. Let me see if I pace this out relatively well. Let's do it on 2. See what happens there. 2 frames a second. As God intended. Yeah, I need to change the timing. What needs more time? The run cycle's fine. Okay, so that's slower than that, sure. That's slower than that, only by a bit. That is a 1 hold, so that's fine. This one might be too long. Just a smidge. Actually, I think this one might be too long too. How quickly does that transition happen? That's very quick, actually. Okay, so that is pretty accurate. Oh, I'm a lost toy. Maybe a little too much there. Put that down, and then I'll just keep that one because that's the end frame. So that just goes until. Okay. Song. This is nice. Keep looking back to get distracted by Soul Eater. Oh, they're fighting Mosquito. Holy shit. Such a fucking sick fight. I wish that had killed him outright. Spoilers if you haven't seen Soul Eater. But truly it deserves to be this last one. Wait, did that kill him? I don't think it. I don't think the Genie Hunter kills him. I think he flies away. I also loved the character designs that they came up with, where they were just like whatever. He gets bigger when he gets older or younger, and now he's fat or whatever. It's like okay, I guess so. Coming forward. That was the one where he was floating. Yes. He was getting some air. Like stick bug. Stick bug beam. Figure with the high knees. I think I'm gonna have to emphasize that motion a little bit more from side to side because that is so. He's going. He's coming at you at a diagonal. I don't know why I drew the brim of the hat before I drew the rest of his body. It's really important. In fact, I know for a fact that it's not. I think that's good timing-wise. I think that's good spacing. I'm going to amplify the run cycle. I'll clean that up, make sure all my steps are stepping, add where I need to. I think the spacing as of now is pretty solid. I might have to repose things, but yeah, all in all, I did a lot. Got a lot done. I'm happy with where I am. And ultimately, that is all I need, is to clean it up from here. I have all the main poses. I have the keyframes. I just need to, well, of the run cycle, I need to make him fully detailed, right? And then I can start in-betweening and adding specific timing. But for now, this is good. This is a good little storyboard. I still need to do Buzz. Buzz doesn't do much. He just kind of does the John Travolta. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your company and your time. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, tune in next time. You will learn something. I will see you soon. Goodbye.